The holidays are coming and plenty of cricket is going on around the country. Here to talk with me is my friend Steve Steinberg, the Crick America blog creator, author, and Major League Cricket contributor. Steve, welcome and thanks for joining me.
Thanks a lot, Nate. It's good to see you.
You've had some great success with your book, Hang the Banner, which is a book about golf training.
Yes, it's let me do a plug. So yes, so it's a second book on golf, sort of strength conditioning and biomechanics. I wrote it with my buddy Joey Diovasalvi, Coach Joey D, and he works with Colby Tellier, who are basically the two top golf fitness guys in the world. They work with Dustin Johnson, Justin Thomas, Lexi Thompson. So it was a fun book to do, really high level cast of characters and sort of a fitness book and breaking down the body the way sort of I've always wanted to be able to write a book. So I'm sort of psyched that that's finally out. I would love to have something turn into similar project on cricket, and that would be the sort of the next dream thing to happen.
Well, you got Bert Cockley, you got Liam Plunkett,
Yeah.
You got a lot of great guys here who know about, the I guess the mechanics of the game. So you've got all this stuff at your fingertips.
Yeah, no, I did a piece on Bert, so hopefully that might lead to something. That'd be nice if that evolved into some sort of project.
Right, and you are a physical trainer by trade, correct?
Yeah. So I've been doing this for a whole long time.
Let's talk a little bit about when you started getting involved in cricket. When you and me, we both grew up here in the USA with football and baseball, basketball, hockey. All these things are kind of like, second nature to us.
Right.
But we both discovered cricket a little later in life.
Yeah, I mean, I really discovered about 6 years ago. I have clients that are from India, from South Africa, and I had this cable channel that was showing the Ashes, and I just left it on. Mainly, I left it on for sort of just absurdist reasons because it didn't make any sense to me, and it really looked like the same 5 minutes being played over and over and over again, like the scene in Speed where they can't let the bus slow down, and so didn't think anything of it. The next year they were showing the CPL, and literally 5 feet from where I am now, I look up at the screen, a guy hits a fly ball, another guy catches it, and the team celebrates. And I'm like, I just understood that. So I just started picking everyone's brain and learning about it. And, the more I learned, the more sort of just angered me that I had to discover this sport literally by mistake. Literally by mistake. If it hadn't been looked up at that moment, we wouldn't have this conversation right now. I wouldn't have 900 shirts that say Digicel and sandals. That's cricket books. I'd be doing something else entirely. And it's this major, massive sport that's huge among the world, and it's just not a thing here. And that sort of angered me, and it became my goal to, find other folks like me and say, here, it's not that difficult to understand the sport. And once you understand the sport, it's like on 24/7, 365. So if you like the sport, you can always watch it.
Especially if you like staying up late. We got the BBL right around the corner. If you don't like sleeping, you can stay up and watch that. Really the only league, the only couple of leagues that we have access to seeing in our prime time here are CPL and now minor league cricket, and soon to be major league cricket.
Yeah, and so I mean, if you're a sports fan and you like, Major League Baseball, NBA, NHL, the good thing is right now you can watch all the cricket you want and it won't interfere with any of that because there's very little. It's very rare you have cricket in prime time in the US, at least on the East Coast. So, you can get your cricket fill in for the, 19 hours a day and then get your basketball, baseball, football in the other 5 hours. And there's your complete 24 hours of watching sports.
You've come from being introduced by cricket accidentally, basically, to really following the domestic leagues, the domestic action, because that's what happens when you get into the sport. You want to see what's going on locally, and then now we've got minor league cricket, we have major league cricket around the corner. We get to see cricket here happening. It's for us, kind of for the fans here in the USA. We have a product now, and that's such an exciting thing. And we're going to talk a little bit now about some of the updates, some of the things that have been going on most recently around the country with cricket. And first of all, let's talk about the MLC feasibility study with George Mason University to look into the realities and the problems and the plan of coming up with a baseball/cricket venue, the first of its kind pretty much, at George Mason University in Fairfax, Virginia. So this is really remarkable, honestly. I mean, the announcement came a couple of weeks ago, but yeah, there's a lot of reasons why cricket and baseball haven't meshed together as far as venues go. They're very different. You know, the way that a cricket ground is oriented and the design of it versus a baseball ground.
No, it's going to be interesting to see what they can do, because obviously if they can do it, then it becomes a template for other places.
Sure.
Makes me nervous is I can't imagine no one's tried it before and it hasn't worked. I mean, essentially cricket, and you can see, look at some of the, venues that you see from around the world. They don't have to be this pristine field, yet this strip in the middle has to be pristine. So it's the rest of it can look pretty ho-hum, but the pitch has to be, treated like the 18th Queen at Augusta, which is, makes it difficult. Like, where do you throw that onto a baseball field? And how do you keep that from getting chewed up, by a center fielder or by, plays at second base?
Well, I mean, I think that's why it really only is going to work with college baseball. So you have the summer being the cricket season, college baseball happening from February through May or so. I think that's how it's going to work. You're going to be able to, ramp up the care of that square, of the wicket square, after the baseball season. Otherwise, yeah, it would be a real problem to have the two coinciding. But because college baseball happens so much earlier, college baseball, I don't think a lot of people realize, unless you pay attention to college baseball. There are plenty of Americans who don't realize how many college baseball games happen every year. A team's going to play like 50 to 65 games. So that's a lot of home games. And what this could do, hopefully, for George Mason University with a new venue would be maybe give them the chance to host some conference tournaments. They've done pretty good in the A10 conference. So, a new venue might actually boost them. Now, another thing that a lot of people don't realize is how low attended college baseball is compared to college basketball and college football. There are very few teams, 20 or so teams around the country that actually have, significant mentionable attendance for college Division I base. This is the highest division in the sport, in the college, the highest level of college baseball. And it's still, George Mason itself didn't even have a home game with more than 450 in attendance last year. And that's a lot for a lot of college baseball.
No, but again, it's the scheduling is the difference. If you're talking about 60 games versus college basketball, you're talking about 20 games. College football, you're talking 10 games. Everyone knows when you're going to play, unless you're in the MAC conference and you play on Wednesday nights. Everyone knows college football is generally going to be Saturday afternoon. College basketball is going to be, in the evening. Baseball, though, especially in parts, as you come up into the DC area where it's you don't have that, it's not Florida. So you can't play, a night game every night because it's going to be 35 degrees.
Yeah.
You're playing a lot of afternoon games during the week. So just by definition, you're not going to get you're not going to bang out the stadium on a Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. And because it's kind of just at the very bottom of the Northeast, the DC area, Northern Virginia. It does have a cold in the season starts in February. It does get pretty cold there. You'll see college teams tend to start their season in the warmer climates. They'll be traveling to the South probably. I played college baseball. We weren't a terribly good team, so our schedule was not ideal. We did travel to Florida quite a bit. The big thing here is this is going to be a really interesting thing to keep an eye on. There's going to be a lot of problems that they're going to have to solve with this because of the differences in baseball and cricket. But because college baseball isn't as big of a spectator sport here, I think they can afford to make the venue kind of cricket first in design.
Okay.
Yeah.
And have more temporary seating just for baseball.
Yeah, something like that. That's how I see it. Also, that George Mason University campus is a home of an arena that formerly called the Patriot Center, which I grew up in the DC metro area, and the Patriot Center was still is a very popular venue, seats about 10,000, and it was one of the top 100 busiest indoor arenas in the world. So they're already used to a high flow of traffic going in and out of that that's cool. And it's going to be, and the cricket season's going to be off season for college. I think you check off a lot of boxes there. You have parking built in, you have the road
No,
infrastructure.
especially,
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah. That's used to bringing
And the
people in.
proximity to the DC area. I mean,
Yeah.
you've got location wise, it's not in the middle of nowhere, so
Right.
it does check a lot of boxes if it can work.
You got a metro stop right up the road that shuttles regularly to the campus, and to that venue.
Restaurant I was talking to when I was in Morrisville, ended up talking to some of the guys from Antares Media that did the television broadcast, and I was talking to Kevin McGee. Some really funny stories about how they went in when, I guess, a few years ago they sort of retrofitted some stadiums here for Sachin Tendulkar was here, and all these guys, this cricket legends came here a bunch of years ago, and he was talking about it. I can't remember if it was Shea Stadium or Dodger Stadium, where basically ripped up a big chunk of the infield to put in
Temporary wicket. Yeah.
With all the electronics that have to go with it, the stumps mics, the cameras. Just a really funny story the way he told it, but just how invasive putting in cricket stuff for a cricket broadcast is, for what looks like a flat piece of ground.
Yeah, and he actually talked in depth. He talked in depth with Peter Della Penna on Peter Della Penna's podcast. You really need a cricket specific venue to do cricket the right way, and because this is going to be the home of a Major League Cricket, team, you got to think it's gonna check off those boxes first and foremost. I think even in a shorter season, you're going to get more attendance from a short Major League season than you will from a long college baseball season. So it's going to probably be cricket first. But yeah, like I said, Eagle Bank Arena is the name of what the Patriot Center is now called. Yeah, one of the top venues in the world for entertainment. So they're already used to bringing people in. When I heard it was at that campus, I thought that was a really smart decision. Moving on, we just recently saw Andres House go crazy at the T10 for the Morrisville Samp Army. Ovis Pinar got some overs in that last game. Calvin Savage was on the team. So they represented Morrisville Samp Army in the T10 in Abu Dhabi. A lot of the world got introduced to Andres House via that very short tournament. But we've come to be used to him performing that way too. Right. He's one of the best bats in the country. Some people consider him the best batter in the entire USA right now. Yeah, so it didn't shock any of us to see him scoring like that.
And again, interesting. T10 is its own animal. And as we mentioned before, I think from a U.S. cricket point of view, one of the good things that came out with, and as oddball as it sounds, is having it be the Morrisville Samp Army. On an international basis, people in Abu Dhabi, people watching just because there was on friendly times for people watching in India and South Asia, all of a sudden they're hearing Morrisville, and it might not mean anything to them until you look into minor league, major league cricket, and all of a sudden, okay, there's Morrisville. So it's just getting that name out there. I think, as inconsequential as it might be consequential. And I can just, if nothing else, I can, picture Mayor TJ 10,000 miles away going like, yes. Yeah. But just again, that, and the team, plus they finished, I think, third. So, it was just a good showing. I'm sure you don't see a lot of them driving around the neighborhood, right? But it got the name out there.
Yeah, and the T10 takes place in Abu Dhabi every year. There's a lot of teams named after cities. They never play at home in those cities, unlike what will happen with Major League Cricket, which is the teams will be hosting, the cities will be hosting the teams. But yeah, there was another team called New York. Unlike New York, the Morrisville team actually did have one player that lived in Morrisville, and that's Ovis Pinar, who plays for the Morrisville Raptors. So it was good to see him get a couple of overs there. You would think he probably would have batted if it hadn't been for Andre sticking around so long and scoring so big. But it was great to see both of those guys contribute in the one game that they did get. And speaking of other leagues that major league players, minor league players, and American cricketers are playing in, we have the BPL coming up very soon.
Starts January 5th, something like early first week of January, I think.
Yeah, it starts pretty shortly. We got Unmukt Chand and Aaron Jones from Major League Cricket that will be making appearances, hopefully in the BPL. So congratulations to them. I'm really excited on seeing Aaron Jones. He's become quite a very good T20 player. He has a reputation, I think, that's a little bit dated, of kind of being a slow scorer, but the last 18 months or so,
No, he was, especially during the playoffs.
yeah, he was fantastic.
He was a beast. He was like that semifinal game. He was a beast at Morrisville.
Oh yeah,
He
exactly.
threw everyone on his back and he was just hammered away.
He almost did the same thing in the final. He almost won the final for them. So yeah, a very good number 4 batter in the T24 format. Aaron Jones. We all know about Urmuk Chand leading the Silicon Valley Strikers to the finals, to the championship in 2021, putting the whole team on his back as well in a very difficult division just to make the playoffs, and then going further and winning the entire league.
And I think, again, on an international level, it adds more legitimacy to what's going on in this country. It adds, every time someone who plays in minor league, major league cricket is playing in the CPL and the whatever, the fact that, Ali Khan played in the CPL. And when I interviewed him, he was saying, like, literally playing in the CPL was a game changer.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
Just in terms of what it did for his exposure, but also I think, what it does is, as an athlete to go, okay, I'm playing at a much higher level now. There must be a reason I'm here. And you get success at that level, you literally have leveled up in your own head. If you're watching in another country and you're seeing, okay, this guy played for, Atlanta that went to the finals in the minor league cricket, all of a sudden now minor league, major league cricket have some meaning to you.
One of the big challenges with associate nations is you've got X amount of spots on the national team. A lot of associate nations can't even afford to pay their players, their national team players. So the carrot's not very big in associate cricket for the most part.
Right.
Even if an associate can pay their national team players, that's still not a very big carrot, because you have 14 slots on the team, but how often do you have a fresh slot for someone to fit into? You got 3 or 4 in reality, maybe. So you don't have many chances to make it as a professional cricketer. So you have to turn to these T20 leagues in order to sustain yourself, and to give yourself the skills that you need to succeed at the international level if you do play at the international level. But basically, we want to see more careers for cricketers, because that keeps people playing the game of cricket. It makes a bigger carrot. And that's what we want to see Major League Cricket do that too. We want to see 60 or so, 60, 70 professional jobs for cricketers in the USA coming out of this league.
And that trickles down to, kids playing.
Yeah.
And, being in the fitness industry, I've got that all the time. Parents that, a kid's a pretty good tennis player at 12 years old. They want to see where this kid can go.
Yeah.
And, with tennis, with basketball, with other sports, a parent can be completely delusional and say, okay, my kid's pretty good. Someday I'll see him on the screen with, a maximum contract.
Yeah.
And with baseball, there's silly money. With other sports, but with cricket, there's not that Aaron Judge contract out there yet. There's not even close to that Aaron Judge contract out there yet. Right. Anything that is going to, make a kid more likely to play and make a parent more likely to push a kid towards cricket, or, help a kid play cricket versus any other sport, is a win for the sport. And obviously a stable infrastructure on the national level and on a domestic, franchise tournament level is going to make that dream a little bit more concrete.
Forget the Aaron Judges. You need to have guys that are, on that major league minimum too. You need to, it's like you need to have the whole spectrum. You need to have the superstars. But in my opinion, one of the downsides of franchise cricket is you have all these leagues staggered around each other so that the same stars can play in every single league. So you don't have 400 professional cricketers in the whole world, probably. Well, I mean, you probably do, but you know what I mean? There should be more space for that. You have more Major League Baseball players than you have professional cricketers in the whole world, probably. So that's one of the reasons I like to think about Major League Cricket becoming a longer season format, which would create these jobs that would be unique, which would create, it would create more opportunities for pro cricketers around the world. You don't want to have a situation where it's just the haves and have-nots, and there's just this huge gulf in between. It's exciting to see 60 to 70 new jobs, basically new professional opportunities for American cricketers. As the league expands, we'll see more and more of those. As the talent expands too, because we have to be able to sustain a good quality league. You have to be able to, once you get to that level, you want to have a job, but obviously you don't want to go too fast in that direction, or the quality is going to be dim. Yeah, so it's great to see Aaron and Unmuck. Ultimately, it subsidizes their career at leagues like this. It's interesting. Unmuck Chan last year played in the BBL. He only got a couple of games for the Renegades. So seeing him move to the BPL, obviously, it looks like to me he's trying to get more chances. He wants to play a little bit more. And moving along to some more exciting domestic news, the Dallas Stadium is just laid down their outfield sod last week. Dave Agnew, in charge of that project, he's the one that put in the wicket at Church Street Park back in 2018. He trained a lot of the people here in Morrisville, and he's the head curator for Major League Cricket right now, putting in the new stadium ground down in Dallas. Now that looks really impressive. It's making really big strides. It's exciting to see all that come together. You get to see like, oh, this is happening when you see the grass in the way that it's in down there. And Dave's done an amazing job.
So how much ripping apart of the infrastructure of the original stadium do they have to do to accommodate cricket?
Well, they had to definitely dig out some of the outfield, the entire outfield fence area. They had to pull out the whole bottom bowl, basically, of seats. And it looks like they just left the top area, which is the fancier seats, I guess.
Yeah, like the press, where the press box would be, and sort of the suites or things like that.
So it's getting a pretty thorough redesign there. But the playing area, coming together. And Dave is definitely the man for the job. He's got a great history. He used to be the curator at Seddon Park in New Zealand. He's worked for years with the CPL. He obviously did Church Street Park. He did the GT20, both seasons of the GT20. I can't wait to go down there and check it out, to be honest with you.
No, that'd be fun. Especially, obviously he's got to, if you can put a pitch in Canada and you can do it in the West Indies, that's a pretty wide range of climates and geology you're dealing with.
But yeah, moving on from the Dallas Stadium, the exciting Dallas Stadium, Jagadeesh Arunkumar ended his term as the head coach of USA Cricket. At the end of this year, his contract expires and he won't be renewing that. Honestly, his term with the team spanned kind of like every year was almost like a different era for him. 2021 was a great year for cricket in the USA. We had 4 national championships, 2 women's and 2 men's. And then we had minor league cricket. Yeah,
we beat a full nation team, a full member team in Ireland in the T20.
Beat a full member for the very first time. Jack was the coach at the time for that. He also improved the team's batting.
Right. Statistically, he did. There's numerically, here's what we're hitting at the beginning, and here's what's hitting the team's hitting when he left. So there's clear improvement there.
Right.
It's just you'd like to see someone stick around and see if they could, if they could do that in a year and a half. What could you have done over 5 years? What could you have done over 10 years?
Yeah, that's true. It's tricky, and associate cricket is just so cutthroat. That Cricket World Cup League 2 is such a tough league. It's such a difficult league. You're talking about you play 36 games and you play 12 of them at home, and the other 24 you're playing away. So it's so difficult playing in all these different conditions. The players are all basically part-timers, and they, it's brutal. It's a brutal league. But that's what makes it so much fun to watch too.
Right. And then to go, 3-1 in Namibia just now.
That was amazing.
Great. But, are you now starting again from scratch with a new coach, a new administration, a new whole, again, the lack of continuity can't be good for the team or the progress of cricket in this country.
Right. Yeah. It's certainly the biggest challenge, and we're seeing that, and we're hoping that at least on the T20 side of things, Major League Cricket, minor league cricket can resolve those things. Now, we did be a full member in the T20 format, and that was after a minor league cricket season. It's a good thing we had that season because we had some players lost to COVID. Well, temporarily lost to COVID for the series against Ireland. So we needed to have players fill in that role, and we had all that data from minor league cricket. We had just recently had a men's national championship, so the selectors had some standards to look at. So we do have that continuity there with the T20 format, and that's proved to be really beneficial. We saw players in the team in that T20 series against Ireland that weren't even on the radar 9 months before that. So that's an excellent success. I think that's a sign of things improving, at least in one aspect of cricket in the USA. Obviously, we can hope for better things in the future, but yeah, it's tough to judge Jack, too harshly. He did improve the batting by quite a bit. I think I said in the article 35% improvement in the batting average. They had in the 12 games before he came, they were all out 7 times. In the 24 games after he came, they were all out 7 times. So
that's a big difference.
Yeah, pretty big difference with the batting, and we know Jack is a batting, has a lot more experience as a batting coach than he does as a head coach. So and it was prudent, really, at the time to sign a batting specialist. We might see Jack back again in Major League Cricket. There's rumors that he's going on to the IPL. That hasn't been confirmed yet, but there's rumors that he's going on to the IPL to be a batting coach there. So, we can look forward to hopefully seeing him attached with Major League Cricket in the future, coaching one of these Major League teams.
No, that'd be nice. And, again, though, from on the national level, to get some sense of consistency would be, I think, such a game changer.
Right.
But again, if the more the administrations change over, everyone brings their own people. It's this revolving door that there you really can't lay any roots because it just keeps getting uprooted.
Right. And once again, that's one of the great things about Major League Cricket is it's going to have continuity that's going to span across all these different administrations. It's creating records of player performance. It's giving them high level competitions to test themselves. So it's very good for the national setup. In the T20 format at the very least. And these days, associate cricket, one of the challenges is and this is one of the reasons why USA struggles so much with left arm orthodox spin. The wickets aren't as high quality. Well, they're great. They're fine. There's nothing wrong with them. They're even for both teams, but they're not runways like a lot of these full member wickets are going to be. You're not going to have a 350 run innings in associate cricket. You're just not going to get many of those. You're going to get dogfights. Maybe with England, a lot of the T20 style really translates well to their ODI and now even their test. But that's tough. It's a tough transition to make in the associate world. Because of the differences of the formats highlighted so much more. One-day cricket in the associate world plays much more like one-day cricket's supposed to play when it was first designed. You get a lot of wickets in one-day associate cricket, and full member you might see 5 in an innings. But USA prior to Jack they lost 9 wickets in innings in their 12 innings batting prior to Jack. After Jack, they lost 7. So it's a decent difference, but that goes to show that even with that improvement, they're still losing over 7 wickets a game.
Right, you're still going deep in your batting.
Still always going deep in your batting, right? Exactly. So that's the formats are very different. I love associate one-day cricket. I do not like full member one-day cricket. It's just you just don't need to. I don't need to see that many runs scored. So the last thing I want to talk to you about is probably like the most exciting thing to me, and that is, what are the things that excite you about the potential of Major League Cricket?
I'm just excited about what level of what caliber of foreign talent is going to be available. Is it going to be? Are they going to get the top level guys you see? Foreign guys that you see in the IPL, CPL, things like that. is it going to be, your Andre Russells? Are they coming here? Your Sloan Rhines? Are they coming here? Or is it, the level right under there? But, but that, what the structure of the rosters is going to be, how many U19 players, how many is going to be mandatory U21 players. There's just a lot going on. And, this year, if there's going to be regionalized play, whether it's all in Dallas or anywhere else, but ultimately in 2-3 years when teams are actually playing in home stadiums, I think that's going to be when people really, when the sport is either really going to latch on or it's not going to latch on, where,
Right.
You'll be able to identify guys with, New York, LA, Seattle, and to see how the teams sort of organically grow in those areas and how well they're accepted and things like that. I think that's going to be the most exciting thing to me.
One of the great things about American sports, or one of the unique things about American sports, is merchandising. So American sports do such a great job of T-shirts with the logo on them, hats, like all these stuff we talk about that as Americans, we eat this stuff up. Other people in other parts of the world might not understand it. But when you connect to the community and you do that via the name of the team, via the identity of the team, how you appeal to your local crowds, when you do that, you start to, merchandising becomes a big issue, a big part of of the raising the ceiling of the sport. And I think, if you get into connecting with fan bases with a good team name, you'll be able to sell. That's just something I think a lot of cricket franchises in the world aren't able to do, or don't, maybe not. I don't know if they try to do it or not, or the culture there doesn't allow it. But here, it's part of the culture. It is.
No, I mean, just look at just minor league baseball. I mean, it used to be, you'd have, the Yankees and all their, whether they're AAA, they're AA, they're single A, they're, short season league would all be the something Yankees, the Oneonta Yankees, the this Yankees. Now, obviously, it's completely different, and you get teams with really wild logos and team names, and it's marketing. It's the people want to wear something that's kind of cool. That's different from. They want to be the only one wearing the Rancho Cucamonga whatever's hat.
Sure.
And good for that. But that's where I think some clever marketing could come in, because again, that's like you said, Americans love to do stuff like that.
Right.
For better or worse.
Well, we're used to paying for the right to advertise your product.
Yes. So when someone realizes that someone they're completely Tom Sawyering this thing out, and someone's going to pay you to advertise your product, that's hopefully the turning point.
That's a win. Yeah. I mean, I love my Morrisville Raptors hats for obvious reasons, but I'd love to see some. We don't know what the team names are going to be yet, but I'd love to see a Dallas T-shirt out there, Washington D.C., Seattle, all this stuff. I can't wait to see what the future brings for merchandising for Major League Cricket, because
hopefully within 10 years we get a Boston team.
Well, let's see. Hopefully we get a Morrisville team within 10 years or something. Philadelphia, they've done a great job. They're one of the teams in minor league cricket who's done the best with this type of thing. They love to hand out shirts and hats, and they like people wearing their stuff. So I can't wait to see that aspect of American sport colliding with cricket. That really hasn't happened before. Like you said, you got a lot of West Indies stuff, but it's not easy to find, and it's expensive.
And it's tough to find, and you can't go. I can't go to the mall and buy a Punjab Kings jersey.
No, right.
Someday maybe, but that idea of I can buy a Barcelona soccer shirt very easily.
Right.
But someday to have it be at that level where you're it's ubiquitous that you see someone walking down the street wearing an LA Knight Riders shirt. You're like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Versus like, what planet am I on?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I did get a PSL jersey. I had a friend bring me back a PSL jersey from Pakistan. Couldn't get my head in the neck hole. So
you gotta unbutton the top buttons, dude.
Yeah, there's no buttons. It was just made that way. It was made. I don't know. So But yeah,
Now
hopefully,
with Nate Proof neck.
yeah, right. My head isn't as big as it looks here, you know. But yeah, so that will be very exciting. I can't wait to see what players join the league. If you could pick one player internationally, let's make it realistic, you know, like we're gonna discount, we're gonna say no Indian players because we know what the deal is with India. Nothing against Indian players for those who don't know, but their governing body doesn't let them play in other leagues. So aside from that, who would you like to see most in Major League Cricket?
I mean, well, Chris Gale, number one. I mean, he would do more. He has flashes of genius when he plays, not as many now as before, but what he can do off the field in terms of just social media and whatever, and just especially if it's the point where it's, he's representing an area and, for 3 weeks every year, a month every year, he's going to be hanging out in Seattle. That's again where he's transcends the sport. He's bigger than the game. He creates a buzz where now all of a sudden people that don't know anything about cricket see this guy who's just Chris Gale,
Right.
having a good time doing what he does, doing Chris Gale things, is going to make someone go, "What the heck is cricket about?" If especially if they're used to thinking that it's one thing and all of a sudden they're seeing it's something else.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anyone else who can do as much in so many categories right now as he can. And I don't see, and he hasn't been playing a ton of other T20s. So, and it's a short flight if he's in Jamaica to play, in Dallas or wherever. So, that would be my number one. He would be the number one guy I would go after if I was starting a league.
The only downside to that is that he is a year older than me. So, but he's in much better shape than me too. But yeah, Chris Gale, larger than life. He's universe boss. There's an idea name. There's a team name idea name for Seattle. You said if he plays for Seattle Universe or something. Universe bosses, whatever. But there you go. Yeah, Chris Gale would be something else. He's definitely I don't know, man. I think he's kind of an LA type of guy. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna go with the lights of the brightest, whether it's New York or LA. But I think anywhere he goes, again, he brings with him this persona that's bigger than the game, bigger than him.
Right. Yeah, I go back and forth. I think about this. I don't know who I would choose if I could choose just one guy, but I like Glenn Maxwell. I like the way he plays. I think he fits in really good with just like when you think about, I don't know, American sports, I guess it's like, yeah, I feel like I feel like he belongs here. A Glenn Maxwell type of guy who's just going to go all out all the time. I think that's the type of guy I like to see. Obviously Chris Gale too, who's just capable of immense power. But yeah, when I think about like, oh, who's gonna really capture the imagination of American viewers who aren't already involved in cricket, who aren't already interested in cricket, I like to think about the guys that go big.
Yeah, no, that or someone who can just put the ball wherever he wants. And I think that's one thing that people, we watch baseball, and now baseball has devolved into launch angles and exit velocities, and it's lost the nuance of small ball and bunts and hitting behind the runner and things like that. So to watch these guys, to look at an AB, what he could do, where just anywhere on the field was fair game as long as he wanted to put the ball there. I think that would be an interesting someone for to people in this country to watch, to see that it's not just a different version of baseball, that it's not just a home run derby.
Right. Yeah. Watching AB de Villiers is kind of like, yeah, it's like watching what cricket could be. It's like you get a great sample of what cricket batting can be just in one innings. You see everything. So right. Yeah, that I agree with you. That would be great to see, somebody like that coming around. But it's been great talking to you, Steve. I'm sure we'll talk some more. We'll maybe do some more episodes in the future. But yeah, I hope you have a great holiday season, and I hope that your book, you already briefly were at the top of Amazon bestseller list there.
Yeah, so it went to number one in all of golf on Amazon for about 24 hours, and that was kind of fun. So that was a nice feather in the cap. But yeah, so it'd be fun definitely looking forward to talking more. It's just, especially with so much stuff going on, we've got, the BPL coming up and some guys. And then, I think as it starts to get into spring, there's going to be, we barely talk about minor league because we spent so much time talking about major league, but you got 26 teams roughly playing minor league cricket next year as well, domestic.
Yeah. Can't wait for the whole thing. Next summer is going to be it's going to be insane. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
All right, great talking to you, Steve. I'm sure I'll see you here in Morrisville again.
Cool, excellent. Talk to you later, Nate.